everyone. I'm Leo Flores, Senior Game Designer, and I make all the tanks. So for this one, it's kind of like the other medium Italian tanks. They all came with auto reloaders, so they're pretty well balanced, but their main advantage is the auto reloaders themselves. Unlike standard autoloader tanks, they don't have any weak periods. So for an average autoloader tank, they're completely helpless for roughly 30 to 50 seconds. So for that time, you can't shoot, you can't really do anything. The only thing for you to really do is just hide. Well, with auto reloaders, no matter what you're doing, you're constantly reloading. So the reloads are slightly longer than normal tanks, but at the same time, you have extra shells to add out the damage. Well, that's a couple things actually. So for one, I mean, in simplest terms, it's kind of like a car. Like, you can't have a car with an amazing engine but like bald tires, because that won't help anything. Or you can't have a car with really bad brakes but then great everything else. Like, it's the overall package that makes it what it is. So like, it's the same thing with tanks. I mean, they do tons and tons of damage, and that's the thing you have to think about is you're going to be reloading, moving on to your next target. You're going to use a couple shells to take someone out immediately where they're just an easy opportunity, and it's going to keep popping up. Like, we just did a playtest right before this, and sure, if you unload everything, you're going to have a long reload time. But as long as you're managing your shells, you're going to destroy everyone, because you just sit back and just pick them off as soon as they even show the slightest weakness. You're just going to be running around, moving on to your next target, because that's all I did was just take out anyone even slightly close to death and move on. And then by the time I got to the next tank, I was ready to take them out. So it's probably going to do very well. We have a lot of data on all the Italian mediums, and they're all doing very well, some better than others. But we have a pretty good idea that it's going to do very well against other tanks. It's not going to play like normal heavies, so it's not like a straight up brawler. It's more of like a support tank, kind of like some of the AMX 50s or T57, where you have those extra shells, so you don't really want to be taking all the damage, but you can do a little bit of tanking. But you're basically supporting, or trying to support others, and then dish out all the damage while taking a couple shots here and there. So usually everyone's going off of the perceived reload rate of that burst shell, and so a lot of tanks are like 1100 or 1000 or 900, and it's very, very low compared to everything else. But they're not really taking into consideration that there's roughly 720 more damage if there's 2 extra shells, or up a couple thousand if there's more shells on the higher tiers. So there's a whole bunch of extra shells that they're not accounting for, and that's where the TPM disparity is a lot. Not always in a fight, so you're constantly reloading, so when you're moving to another spot, you already have multiple shells ready to go, so you're not hiding for half the match, you're not plinking away a little couple rounds. Like, you have that extra advantage of, if someone's slightly injured or even remotely close to dead, you're most definitely going to take them out with your multiple shells. Work than normal tanks, because it's just, you have to decide when are you going to use your shells. Like, because the biggest thing about this tank is you want to mainly use the one shell as much as you can and save the reserve shells for when you have an opportunity on like a weakened tank or tank that's just about to die. Like, that's when you use those shells, is to just take someone out of the game immediately. And so like, that's the biggest thing, is just saving those shells and managing your shell and damage output, because sure, you might have an opportunity to take someone out right away or just do more damage, but then you'll have a longer reload time. So if you save those extra shells for when you really need them, you'll be reloading when you're moving on to your next target. So you're always reloading. So you're not like an auto loader where for 30 to 50 seconds you can't shoot. You're completely helpless. You just got to run and hide. And if anyone's near you, you're pretty much dead. But with these tanks, you're always reloading. So by the time, if you're managing your shells correctly, you're never out of shells. And by the time you're at the next target, you have a full loadout of shells to just destroy them. So